Anthropic just released Claude Opus 4.5 and the timing could not be worse for OpenAI and Google. This model is not just an incremental upgrade. It is a direct shot at the competition and the benchmarks prove it. Let me break down exactly what Opus 4.5 brings to the table and why the two biggest names in AI should be looking over their shoulders right now. First, let's talk about what just happened in the past few weeks. Google dropped Gemini 3 Pro and the industry lost its mind. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff publicly announced he's switching from ChatGPT to Gemini. That's a massive endorsement. OpenAI's Sam Altman reportedly told his team that Google's release would create temporary economic headwinds for the company. The pressure was building. OpenAI responded with GPT 5.1 and their specialized Codex Max model designed for autonomous coding. And then Anthropic walked in and flipped the table. Claude Opus 4.5 just became the first AI model in history to break 80% on SWE-bench Verified. For those unfamiliar, this is one of the most respected benchmarks in the industry for measuring real-world software engineering capability. We're not talking about toy problems here. This tests how well an AI can actually write, debug, and improve production-level code. Opus 4.5 hit 80.9%. OpenAI's GPT 5.1 Codex Max scored 77.9%. Google's Gemini 3 Pro came in at 76.2%. Anthropic's own Sonnet 4.5 from just a few weeks ago scored 77.2%. That 3-point gap between Opus 4.5 and the competition might not sound like much. But at the frontier of AI development, a 3-point lead is enormous. It represents countless engineering hours and research breakthroughs that the competition hasn't figured out yet. But here's where it gets really interesting. Anthropic didn't just release a slightly better model. The pricing on Opus 4.5 dropped by 67% compared to the previous version. We're now looking at $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. The old Opus 4.1 was $15 and $75 respectively. That is a massive reduction. Anthropic essentially made their most powerful model accessible to developers and businesses who previously couldn't afford to experiment with frontier capabilities. This is a strategic move that puts pressure on both OpenAI and Google. When your best model is not only outperforming the competition but also undercutting them on price, that's a combination that wins market share fast. Now let's talk about what this model can actually do because the capabilities are genuinely impressive. Anthropic gave Opus 4.5 the same take-home exam they used to evaluate candidates for performance engineering roles at the company. This is a rigorous 2-hour test designed to push technical ability and judgment to the absolute limit. Opus 4.5 scored higher than any human candidate who has ever taken that test. Read that again. An AI model outperformed every single human who has applied for a job at one of the most competitive AI companies in the world. Now Anthropic is careful to point out that this test doesn't measure things like collaboration, communication, or the intuition that comes from years of experience. Fair enough. But when an AI can solve technical problems better than your best job applicants, it raises serious questions about how engineering as a profession is going to evolve. The feedback from internal testers at Anthropic has been remarkably consistent. People keep saying the same thing. Opus 4.5 just gets it. It handles ambiguity without needing constant hand-holding. It reasons through complex trade-offs on its own. When you point it at a multi-system bug that would take a human engineer hours to track down, it figures out the fix. Tasks that were nearly impossible for Sonnet 4.5 just weeks ago are now within reach. This qualitative leap in reasoning is something that's hard to capture in benchmarks but makes a massive difference in real-world usage. Developers don't just want a model that performs well on tests. They want a model that feels like a capable collaborator. And that's exactly what Anthropic seems to have delivered. Let's talk about the agent capabilities because this is where the future of AI is heading. Opus 4.5 is designed to power long-running autonomous workflows. We're not talking about simple question and answer interactions here. We're talking about AI that can manage entire projects from start to finish. The model has significantly improved memory management. It can explore large codebases and documents while knowing when to backtrack and recheck something. This is crucial for agentic use cases where Claude might be acting as a lead agent commanding a group of smaller haiku-powered sub-agents working on different parts of a problem simultaneously. Anthropic also introduced something they call the effort parameter. This gives developers fine-grained control over how much computational effort Claude allocates to a task. You can balance performance against latency and cost depending on your specific use case. That level of control is something enterprise customers have been asking for. And speaking of enterprise features, Anthropic rolled out several major product updates alongside the model release. Claude for Chrome is now available to all Mac users. This extension lets Claude take actions across your browser tabs. Imagine having an AI assistant that can navigate websites, fill out forms, and complete multi-step workflows across multiple tabs without you having to do anything. Claude for Excel has expanded to Macs, Team, and Enterprise accounts. This brings AI capabilities directly into spreadsheet workflows at a professional level. Financial analysts, accountants, and consultants now have access to an AI that genuinely understands their domain. Claude Code has been added to the desktop app for the first time. Previously it was only available on mobile and web. Now you can run multiple coding sessions in parallel. One agent fixing bugs, another researching GitHub, a third updating documentation, all running simultaneously while you focus on other work. And here's a feature that users have been begging for since the beginning: endless chats. Previously, when you had a long conversation with Claude, it would eventually hit a context limit and you'd lose the thread of what you were working on. Now Claude automatically summarizes earlier parts of the conversation so you can keep going indefinitely. It sounds like a small thing, but anyone who's lost important context mid-project knows how frustrating that wall used to be. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Why should OpenAI and Google actually be worried about this? It comes down to focus. Anthropic has never tried to be everything to everyone. They're not chasing image generation. They're not building video models. They're not trying to create the next viral consumer product. They've been laser-focused on coding, productivity, and enterprise use cases from the very beginning. That focus is paying off. While OpenAI spreads its resources across ChatGPT, DALL-E, Sora, and countless other products, and while Google juggles Gemini across search, workspace, and cloud services, Anthropic has been quietly building the best coding AI in the world. The investment community has noticed. Microsoft and Nvidia just poured billions into Anthropic, pushing the company's valuation to around $350 billion. That's not just money. That's a signal about where the industry's smartest investors think the future is heading. According to recent reports, Anthropic is on track to break even by 2028. OpenAI isn't expected to hit that milestone until 2030. That financial runway gives Anthropic the breathing room to keep pushing the frontier without the same pressure to monetize every product immediately. And here's the thing that should really concern the competition. Anthropic secured deals with both Amazon and Google to access up to 1 million chips from each company. They've locked in the compute resources they need to keep scaling. The infrastructure bottleneck that limits so many AI companies isn't going to slow them down. So where does this leave us? The AI race just got significantly more competitive. Google had a great week with Gemini 3. OpenAI has been pushing hard with GPT 5.1. But Anthropic just proved they're not going anywhere. They're not the underdog anymore. They're a legitimate threat to the established players. For developers, this means more options and better tools at lower prices. For businesses, it means the capabilities you've been waiting for are finally accessible. And for everyone watching the AI space evolve, it means the next few months are going to be absolutely fascinating. The competition is heating up, and honestly that's great for all of us. Because when the biggest companies in AI are pushing each other this hard, Everyone benefits from the innovation. If you want to stay updated on every major development in the AI world, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We break down the news as it happens so you never miss a beat. I'll catch you in the next one.